Hi again, everybody. I'm Chuck Guglielmo, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck, a weekly interview show where we interview interesting people. And today we have a very interesting person. His name is Bill Fails, longtime educator in the Conneaut school system, athletic director, coach. Bill Fails, welcome to Around the Town with Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Bill,
I enjoy being here.
Bill in from Florida, where he spent the winter. You didn't bring back Florida weather, though. That's the only thing.
No, I didn't, just like we were saying a minute ago. This is disgusting after leaving the warm weather.
Very disgusting. And the guy on Channel 19 before he came in said we could get a foot of snow on Saturday here.
Chuck,
widespread, too.
I don't want to hear that.
Bill, his daughter just was recently inducted into the Ashtabula County Basketball Hall of Fame on Sunday. Bill, how proud are you of that?
Oh, real proud. I mean, Kay Ann was a hard worker. I don't know if she had the basketball talent that she ended up showing when she played college softball, but she worked hard at it. And as you know, when I recited her little letter to the people of at the foundation meeting the other night, you know, she wasn't surrounded by great people either until they all matured together as juniors and seniors. So she practiced a lot, worked hard, and seemed to work well with her teammates. And after those first 2 years of getting hammered every night almost, that they finally got things put together. They grew up together, Kay Ann and her teammates, and had some successful seasons as a junior and senior. So, you know, it's just like anything. It's how much you put into it, it's what you get out of it. A lot of hard work, you end up being successful.
And of course, Kay Ann's high school basketball coach, I believe, was Tom Rattari.
Yes.
Outstanding coach
yes,
himself. Yes,
a good guy. And the fact that I think Tom was a guard all the way through high school and college, that he lent a little more expertise to that position, which Kay Ann played. She was a 2-guard for a while, then a 1-guard for junior and senior year. And it just, I don't know, he understood the position, and I think he got it across to her.
Of course, living next door to Bill for about 16 years, Kay Ann and your son Craig would be out there in the driveway playing basketball just about every hour of the day. No matter what time of the day it was, they were out there playing basketball. And I think I read where Kay Ann said you had an imaginary 3-point line in your driveway. Talk a little bit about
No, Chuck, it wasn't imaginary. You know what? Craig was a couple years older, and they put in the 3-point shot when he was going to be a 7th grader. I remember reading it in the paper, probably the Star Beacon, and it said, there's a little article from the OHSAA. They're going to approve for the coming basketball season, which would have been that winter, the 3-point shot for high schools. So thus everybody, you know, 7th grade on up was supposed to put in a 3-point line. Well, if you remember, our driveway had a little bit of a slant to it. So I went out there with a string and a pencil and kind of hung one string down from the hoop, and the other one, I put in one, and I painted it with the paint that I had in the garage, which just happened to be red. So there it was. They had that red 3-point line. That would be, Kay Ann was only in 5th grade because Craig was in 7th. So it was out there, and I had to repaint it a couple times because, you know, the wear and tear of all the games that went on out there. And, you know, like I mentioned the other day, you know, Boyd Griffith played in that driveway a lot too. So did Steve Wahanick. He played in that driveway a lot. I remember Eric Showalter used to come over there and play. You know, the kids who lived in the neighborhood.
You even played.
Oh, yeah. I do remember. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, hey, I know, it's Steve Wahanick. And he said, remember the shots you'd take, and sometimes you'd fall over the hedge? Or if you were playing horse or pig, you'd try to make a shot jumping over the hedge at the same time, because it was kind of the sidelines on the left side of the driveway. So we had a lot of fun, but there was a lot of basketball played in that driveway.
And it shows on the basketball court that it works because they were all outstanding basketball players.
Yes.
All the names
yes, they were
mentioned. Let's talk a little bit more about your kids with Kay Ann. Now, she is married and has 3 children. Talk about those 3 grandchildren.
Well, the oldest is Nathan, a redhead, He just turned 12. And
I can remember when Kay Ann was 12.
and here's Nathan. He's such a nice kid. You know, he'll call us on his, well, of course, you know, everybody has to have a cell phone. So his dad reactivated one of his old cell phones. And Nathan will call us to ask us how we're doing. And now here's a 12-year-old. We could, if we didn't shut him off, he would talk for 2 hours. He's just that kind of kid. I think he's in the band. He's a trumpet player. I think his sport might be swimming. He's long and lean, and he's not real interested in basketball or baseball. So I think swimming's going to be his thing. But you know, we'll just have to find out. But he's tall. His dad's about 6'3", and I think Nathan's going to get up there eventually. Second one, Ryan. I feel good about Ryan. Ryan's a little blonde. Now, see, that's a funny thing. We got a redhead, a blonde, and a brunette out of the 3 grandkids. But I don't know. The family around me calls him Little Bill. I don't know. I guess he looks like me a little bit. I had blonde hair when I was a little kid. That's what happens. You go from blonde hair to no hair. But he's a little guy that he likes to play basketball. He likes to play baseball. And you don't have to ask him. He'll grab you and say, hey, let's go out and shoot something. Or let's go out and play catch and, you know, stuff like that. And then there's the little one, Morgan. Oh, I forgot to mention Ryan's 9. And then there's Morgan, 7, a little girl. And little Morgan can do just about anything she wants to do. Right now, she's interested in gymnastics. She spends most of the winter in gymnastics. And she's a couple levels ahead of most kids her age. I don't know. I think she's the athlete of the group.
The youngest one.
Yes, the youngest one. And she catches on to things quick. And her mom was helping coach their softball team and adding her expertise. And, well, you know, you get a 7-year-old up there, and the coach pitches it in pretty straight to her, and she whacks it, you know. And she can run, and she understands the game. And I think she might be the good one, but hey, you never know.
So since Kay Ann's been married, she's had 3 different locations. Now she's way out near Seattle, Washington right now for the last couple of years.
Yes, they moved out there 2.5 years ago. Scott took a job with Amazon, and he's the logistics department head. And, you know, logistics to them is a big deal. Well, you know, getting stuff delivered. He was in on the drone deal when they started thinking about drones a few years ago. And now they're thinking about having their own shipping trucks and their own airplanes to move stuff around the country quicker. I think Amazon wants to compete with UPS and FedEx. You know, instead of paying somebody, do it yourself. That's what they're doing right now. And that's why they moved out there. Now, they were in Wadsworth, Ohio for, I believe, 7 years. And Wadsworth down by Akron, that was nice. It was 100 miles door to door.
Can't beat that, huh?
No, yeah, compared to 2,600 miles door to door. But, and then before that, after Kay Ann got out of school, she moved to Leesburg, Virginia, and got her first teaching job there. She was an elementary special education teacher. And if you remember an Ashtabula name, Adrian Powell.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Adrian read about Kay Ann in the Star Beacon, because he had left Ashtabula as an administrator and moved to Ashburn, Virginia, where he was a principal. Well, he wanted her to come in and be a high school special education teacher. Well, she had the choice of the 2 jobs. She ended up taking the elementary one, which, you know, didn't make any difference to anybody except her, so she took that. She used to babysit his kids, and we're still close friends with him. And we talk to him on the phone once in a while. And she talks to him, or texts or emails him quite often, just to keep track, because he got her first job. Now, she did not teach when she was in Wadsworth, busy having kids. And then, now that she's moved out to Snoqualmie, Washington, which is about 20 miles from downtown Seattle. Funny thing about Snoqualmie, we go out south of Conneaut and we see Route 90. Snoqualmie's right off Route 90. It's just a lot farther away.
And 2,600 miles away.
So she's gone back to being a tutor. She's a reading tutor for kids with special needs in elementary now. It's it's kind of a part-time because she's still busy with 3 little kids, but she's enjoying it, and she's back in the workforce. That's what she's got her master's degree for, is to teach, and she wants to use it. And I'm assuming that as time goes on, she will expand that into probably a full-time job to as her kids get older, and she don't have to meet them at the door every day and stuff like that. So that's why they're out there, and that's what they're doing out there.
Now, you were telling me at the banquet that they were going to be coming home this summer for about a couple of weeks.
Yes.
That would be nice. Let me know. I'd like to get her on the TV. And her kids.
I'll try to remember that. Excuse me. But no, that was part of the problem with her coming home for the foundation banquet. Sure. Yeah, they'd already planned. They're coming home somewhere, I don't know, late June, 22nd or something like that. And they wanted to be able to come home and stay 2 weeks. And, we do all the grandma, grandpa things with the grandkids. And, they have a couple friends in our neighborhood that they developed over the last, they developed those friends when they were living in Wadsworth. Well, now they only get home once a year to see us and see those people. So we'll let them play with the neighbor kids and do what they want to do. And
there you go.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's
right?
exactly it.
Well, congratulations to Kay Ann Fails. Let's talk now about Craig. Craig is in Indiana? Is it Indianapolis?
No, that's where he went to school.
Fort
he
Wayne.
went to Indianapolis. He's in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne.
He's a math teacher at Snyder High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And his wife is a science teacher at Snyder High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, they both started out at other schools after they were married and both got jobs in the school system here in Fort Wayne. They were different high schools, and some jobs came open, so they moved to the same school. I mean, it just makes sense. Uh-huh. And Craig started off as a baseball coach. He was assistant coach, and he helped Snyder. He helped coach Snyder to. They've won 2 state championships in large school baseball while he was assistant coach. But then the head coach had a couple kids of his own. He didn't want to spend all that time for baseball, so he resigned a couple years ago. Well, Craig said, I don't know if I can get along with the new guy. So I was kind of surprised. He resigned from baseball, and he had picked up football. He was just kind of a lowly assistant.
Now, he didn't play football in school, right?
He played through his freshman year.
Okay. He was more baseball, basketball, right?
Yes, he was. But you know what? People don't realize how he hung out at football practice a lot, because I coached.
Right.
I coached for 20 years, and he was there a lot. But a friend of his who was it's coached for 30 years said, "Hey, Craig, come coach football. I'll take you under my wing, and I'll teach you what you need to know." Well, this guy, Craig worked with him for 3 years, and then that guy retired, and Craig took over. He was a defensive backs coach, just like I was when I coached football. And then through time, he became the defensive coordinator. And I mean, that's big time football over there. I mean, they got 2,000 kids in their school, and their talent level is astounding. I don't say this picking on anybody that played football in this county, but Craig, I tell him, you go out there every week with a better team on the field than if I'd have picked an all-star team from Ashtabula County. And I say, but it's big time football. They got Division I kids, and you look around. If you look on college rosters, there's a lot of kids in football and basketball and baseball from the Fort Wayne area. Because Fort Wayne's like a city that nobody knows about. It's almost as big as Cleveland. It's just not noted. I never
thought that.
Well, Cleveland proper is got 440,000 people,
around 500,000.
And Fort Wayne's got like 350,000.
Wow!
But they've only got a B League basketball team for the Pro B League. They've got a Class A baseball team, and they've got a American Hockey League hockey team. And they're just kind of a minor league city, but it is a great city. Well, but to get back to things, Craig took over as defensive coordinator a few years, well, about 3 or 4 years ago. And his head coach, who's the offensive coordinator, they're both math teachers. And so they spent a lot of time together, not only teaching math, but coaching football. And we were real happy. The Friday after Thanksgiving, Linda and I drove to Indianapolis and went to Lucas Oil Stadium and watched them win the Division 5, which is the next to largest school division in Indiana, state championship in football. And I think, wow, a lot of work, a lot of talent. It all came together.
Absolutely.
And so we were real happy about that. So, of course, we get our sweatshirts to wear that say they were state champs. But he's doing just fine. His wife, Christina, not only is she a science teacher there in Fort Wayne, she also is employed by a hospital as the athletic trainer for the school. So,
is she an Indiana girl?
Yes, she's originally from Fort Wayne. That's why they ended up there. They met at University of Indianapolis when they were going to college together. But Christina, this hospital hires Christina as the athletic trainer. She and another young lady handle all the athletic injuries. And of course, they refer them back to the hospital. And she's pretty busy. They get done with school. Craig goes to the practice field. She goes to the practice field too, or if there's some other event going on, she might be between the practice field and, like there's a volleyball game going on, she's in the gym. Because anyone that gets injured, she has to help and develop treatment for or refer them to doctors, surgeons, whatever. So she's pretty busy and keeps a pretty similar schedule. In the winter, though, Craig's kind of free, but it's amazing how he'll go and watch girls basketball and men's basketball.
He's a sports-minded
person.
person.
Wrestling matches and stuff like that.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
And so they spend a lot of time together. It's just a lot of it's not at home.
Right. And Craig's been out there, about 20 years?
Well, let's see. Just turned 42.
Yeah,
20.
So about 20 years.
Yes. Isn't that something?
Oh, my goodness. 20 years out there.
I had a good laugh the other night at the...
Does he get back home often?
No, not too often. He really doesn't. I mean, it's actually easier for us to go see them. And we'll go see 3 or 4 football games during the year. We'll go one during the season. Now, they have a playoff system in football that's different. Every school in the state qualifies for the state tournament in football. But the difference is Indiana's only got 320 high schools, where Ohio has to have more classes and less tournament games because they've got 700 in some schools. So they start a tournament in football just like you play, like Ohio does in basketball. Well, you start playing consecutive Friday nights to get to the championship. Because they play a 9-game regular season, and if you go to the state championship, you got 6 more games.
Ooh.
So 15 games.
15 games.
Yeah,
Wow.
You don't find too many kids that play football and basketball together.
Exactly.
A few do, but they, of course, the longer you go in a tournament, the later you get to start practicing basketball. But that's just the nature of the beast.
Good update there on Kay Ann and Craig.
Thank you.
Bill, let's talk now about you. Now, you came to Conneaut in 1969.
Right.
From Marietta.
Right.
And
well, that's where I went to school.
Yes, and you taught at Rao.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, I was your first student back in 1969 in your homeroom. If you remember, I think their homeroom number was 305.
It was.
If I'm not mistaken.
And you know what's funny about that, Chuck? I was going to bring that up if you didn't.
Oh,
that I remembered you sitting there. No, those were the good old days. Yeah, I was 22. How old were you?
Let's see. I'm 61 now, so
maybe I just turned.
You just.
Maybe I just turned 23. I guess I was 22.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a.
I can remember it like it was like 5 months ago. Maybe not 5 months ago, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you started off teaching science.
Yes, I taught science for 6 years.
All at Rao.
All around.
And then you moved to physical education.
Went to physical education.
Still at Rao.
Stayed there for 29 years.
So you only taught at Rao. You never worked the high school except for athletic director.
That's all.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I had some chances to move, but well, you know what? After I'd had kids for 3 years at the middle school, I'm thinking, I don't know if I can go over and put up with them for a total of 6 years because I would have them for 3 more. But, you know, I don't know. I guess I was entrenched over there. I knew the system. I knew the administrators. I worked with good people. And I just said, why go over there and upset the apple cart? Because actually it was easier to separate teaching and athletic director. Because, you know, people don't realize that if you're at the high school, and say I was teaching phys ed, here comes a salesman, shows up at the back door of the high school gym, and he wants to talk to you because you're on the schedule, and he wants to sell you football helmets or basketball jerseys or softballs. You know, he's got a schedule to keep. So what's he do? He interrupts your class. Well, what good's that doing the kids? Well, I told everybody I dealt with, don't bother me at ROW. They didn't know where ROW was, so they didn't bother me. Probably in the 29 years I was in the gym, a salesman probably bothered me twice. And I used to tell him, hey, don't come here anymore. This is my teaching time. You know, we'll see you at the high school in the afternoon. If it doesn't work out, then I'm not buying anything from you.
Now, back in 1969, who was the principal at ROW?
Jesse Howard.
Okay, and then he ended up at Southeast too, later in these years, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Jesse Howard, yep, I remember.
He just passed away about a year ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and then, then you became athletic director when?
1990.
1990, and you had a long run at athletic director where you were, you had the most tenure of any other AD in Ashtabula County, I remember, when you retired.
So. Yeah, I went to 2004.
Yeah, and now
14
Steve
years.
Volsey took that over. He became, after you left, he became the longest running athletic director over at Jefferson.
There you go. Is he still the athletic director?
I know he's coaching girls basketball. Whether he's the AD, I'm not sure. I saw him at the bank.
Yeah, I saw him there the other night.
On Sunday as well. What was that like, being the athletic director?
Well, you know what?
Did you have fun with it? I know there's a lot of work to it,
well, you know
especially when it comes to making up, games that get canceled. You got to reschedule and all that kind of stuff.
It was fun because, okay, I had put in 20 years of coaching football. I'd coached, I coached softball while I was athletic director. I'd done a lot of middle school basketball. And I don't know, I guess I got to the point to where I was just kind of, okay, I don't want to do this part of it anymore. And I always considered being the athletic director as coaching the coaches. You know, if there were problems, I'd handle that. Because if the problem got real big, then it went beyond me. But I tried to, put the fires out whether they were small because, every coach nowadays gets hammered by parents, the kid's not playing, or the kid's the sixth man on your high school basketball team, and the parents are wondering why he's not going to get a scholarship to Duke, and I don't know, and there's just a lot of things, simple stuff, preparing for a game, setting up the radio people, getting the referees there. Actually, the last few years, it got easier when it came to referees, umpires, and stuff like that, because at the old NEC, we had an assigner, Phil Garcia. And it was nice. Something got canceled. Hey, Phil, we're not playing today. Oh, I know who they were. I'd call them and say it was canceled, but I'd say, okay, we decided on this date. I need 2 umpires for that date, or 2 basketball.
He's still doing that today.
Yes,
so.
he is, and he did a great job and sure helped me out a lot because that eliminated a lot of work. I remember one time trying to get a baseball umpire at a baseball game and I finally got one on the 26th phone call.
Oh my gosh!
Now there I am. My day'd been over. We didn't have
panic.
It was a rainy day. There I am in my office about 7:30 at night, calling these guys at home, and saying, "Hey, can you do a game that day? Let me check the schedule." No. I got no like 25 times. And finally, the last guy said, "Yeah, I can do that game." That's where having that guy that's the scheduler really made a difference in the spring. Because the spring's when you get all the postponements. Hey, football, they don't postpone. Basketball, they don't postpone. Right. Well, rarely. It's usually some weather event. But I enjoyed being there and talking to parents because see, they could talk to me. I didn't coach their kid. Yeah, they, sometimes, well, you know what's funny about it, Chuck? A lot of them were kids I had in school. By that time, 1990, these young parents, maybe they had a kid in the middle school. Maybe they had a kid in the high school. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, I could talk to them, parent to parent, because I'd been there, and talk to them about, well, this might be a good idea, why the coach is doing what he's doing. I tried to explain it, but, it's funny when you tell them, go talk to the coach. Ooh, that stopped a lot of them in their tracks. Yeah, our coaches weren't bad guys.
Right.
They were pretty good guys.
Speaking of coaches, you were a coach yourself, as you said, for the football team. Matter of fact, I know you coached a couple of 10-0 teams, or at least one of them back in the mid-'80s.
Yes.
Because I know one player who told me to say hello to you. He said you will remember him well. His name was Rod Eldred.
Oh, Rod. I still see Rod once in a while. He's one of the best football players I ever coached. Rod's a good guy. Now, I coached, I started off in the fall of '69. Ed Hartman was the head coach.
Oh, yeah.
And I coached 3 or 4 years.
I didn't know you started coaching with him.
That's funny. That's why I came here.
I did not know that.
I had taken other interviews with other school systems, and they all say, well, we got a teaching job for you. I said, hey, how about coaching? And a bunch of them said, oh, yeah, we can start you down. You'd be the 7th grade football coach. I'd played college football. Sure, it was Division III, but, I thought I knew more about the game than the 7th grader needed to know. So Conneaut offered me, says, yes, we got a high school assistant's job open. Okay, that's why I ended up here. But I started in '69. I think I coached 3 years, and then I got a little disenchanted with coaching football, and so I switched to cross country for 4 years.
That's right.
Because I was also the head track coach. Mm-hmm. After my second or third year, I was the head track coach. And then that went hand in hand. And then 15 years of track. And then the football coaching situation changed. I applied for the head football coach, and John Peaceman got it. That's okay, hometown boy. I just stuck with cross country a few more years. Then I got back into Bob Gilmore and I coached freshman football.
Bob Gilmore, yes.
Yes. And
yes.
We coached freshman football together for 5 years. Man, that's probably the most fun I've had coaching, because Bob's a great guy.
Where's he at now?
Well, he still lives out south of town, out
Bob
in Pierpont.
Gilmore, that's right.
Hey, you know what? He was a great math teacher. I remember Craig asking me, he didn't have his own math class yet. What about this? What about that? I said, all you got to do is think about what Mr. Gilmore would do in that situation. You'll be just fine. I thought that's pretty good advice.
Yes.
Because Bob was a great teacher.
Yeah.
Of course, I also remember when it came to coaching, especially baseball, I told him to what Joel Taylor would do in this situation. I thought those were two really good examples.
Over 20 years of coaching baseball,
yeah.
Joel Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought those guys did a great job, so it was easy to refer my son to them. But then after I coached, I got back into football freshman, and then Steve Nolan got the head job. And Steve came and asked me, hey, why don't you come up from the freshman, you and Bob? And we went up. I coached the D-backs, Bob coached the offensive line. And Ron Whitcomb ran the defensive line, and Steve did the offensive line, or offensive, he did the whole side of the ball off.
Didn't he also end up coaching wrestling, Whitcomb?
Yes, he was a wrestling coach for quite a while. Yeah, he was a pretty successful wrestling coach. And then, Steve Nolan was at 85, 86, 84. In 84, Nolan left and went to Troy, Ohio. And he was very successful down there. He took them to their first playoff ever, and then it became fairly regular down there. But Troy was a huge school, and I almost went there with him. As a matter of fact, we were getting ready to pack, and then at the last minute, the job, I was going to go back into science. The job in Troy fell through because the lady that was going to leave that job and have an opening in science, her husband didn't get the job he was going to get, so he was going to stay in Troy, she was going to stay, thus there was no job. So And I don't regret staying in Conneaut. It's been a real good ride.
We've enjoyed having you here in Conneaut. Let me close with this, Bill. Now, like I said, you were a coach back in the mid-'80s, and now you're watching your son, Craig, coach. Mm-hmm. What differences do you see in coaching the kids that you did versus the kids that he's coaching? Are there any major differences today?
Well, you know what I've noticed? He's a lot calmer than I ever was. You know, I used to yell and scream some, especially on game night. He keeps calm. He knows his stuff. He's a smart cookie. You know, it's like 2 weekends ago, he and the head coach and 2 other assistants, they hopped in a car, drove to Wake Forest down in North Carolina, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Drove down there, spent about 8 hours of one day on a Saturday picking the coach's brain, watching a scrimmage in practice for spring ball, because they had heard this guy is a great defensive coach. So they wanted to go down there and learn more defense. So it was the head coach and 3 defensive assistants. And so, you know, that's the kind of stuff, yeah, we used to do that once in a while. But, you know, times have changed. Everybody's running that same, you know, I guess you call it a run and shoot offense nowadays. So, man, you got to have good athletes to cover those receivers. And if the other team's got a good thrower and runner, it makes defense tough.
What are you predicting for the Tribe this year?
You know what? I'd like them just to win tonight. But
I'll play tonight.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I really don't know. They're kind of a mystery. Like I was hoping Kluber put them down the first night, and then hey, Carrasco got a little jam there, threw some bombs up there, and you know, hey, I'd like them to get in the playoffs. I'd like them to qualify for the playoffs, not be a wild card. But you know, hey, they're in a tough division. They got to get through Detroit, and
so Kansas City.
Well, you know what? I think Kansas City's ready for a fall.
I hope so.
You know, they've been there twice, and they lost some people to free agency and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm also I'm rooting for Toronto to win the East.
The Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays.
Why is that?
If anybody can beat the Yankees, I'm happy with.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Well, Bill, this has been fun.
It has been, Chuck.
We'll have to get you back before you go back to Florida again. You go back to Florida in November?
December.
So thanks for coming on.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember, the only thing that'll happen between now and then, I'll play a lot of rounds of golf.
Thanks for coming on. Bill Fails was my guest, former educator here in the Conneaut school system, coach and AD, and that's another edition of Around the Town with Chuck.